Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Rafael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
Hello, ladies. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being here. Raquel, thank you so much for stepping in. And Jose is very grateful to you for being the co-host today. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. When he reached out, I was like, oh, of course. I happen to be free.
You're not free. You're very, very productive.
Yes, I am. I'm a task animal.
And Bethany, this is our 3rd hour together. What can I say? I am so blessed by your company.
Thank you. It's reciprocal. I feel also blessed by your company. This has been a fun Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with the fun part. So who wants to take this topic and run with it? I know, Bethany, you said, I love this topic. Talk to us about it.
I love this topic because chaos is something that, like, whenever I was with parents and they would tell me about their kids, like parent-teacher conference would happen, and they'd be like, I just feel like there's so much chaos. There's always so much chaos at home. Blah, 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 blah. And I would hear these parents talking about that, and I could sense in them that they had chaos. And what their chaos was, translating down to their children's chaos and everything else. And they'd be like, what can I do? What can I do to like fix the chaos? And not, they would talk about this. And I would often try to take something that they would be able to have a visual of. Because if we take a bunch of blocks, they are all the same, but they're all different colors, like all the same shape, but different colors. And you dump them out. And then you tell some child, go pick up those blocks. Do you know they will not pick those up? They will roll around in the blocks and be like, no, this cannot happen. And life is over. Things are terrible because there's too much. And so you have to take the step back and be like, okay, there's a lot here. Only pick up the red ones. Pick up the red only. Okay. Now let's only pick up the blue ones. Now let's only pick up the yellow ones. And we sometimes forget that these simple lessons that we are teaching children are the same lessons that we need as adults. Like, I don't know where the translation got lost. That's like, none of those things apply to me anymore. Because guess what? It all does. Everything still applies to us because our lives can be just like that pile of blocks. We have so many things that inside, the biggest difference is that we have, the emotional awareness to not be rolling around being like, this is terrible. I cannot do this. We're not doing that.
Who said we have the emotional?
We're hoping. We're all hoping. Maybe sometimes we do, but it's taking that step back and being like, well, what is the next thing? What can I do? What's the next thing? And that's why I love this, is because this translates like for every age possible. We are going to have chaos, but it is creating it in a structure that we're able to handle.
I love that.
So good. So good. You're speaking, and I'm like, this is in the air. Because on Monday, my show was around, goal strategies at work. But that was one of the things. It's like bringing everything down to just small as the new big. What is this next? The smallest possible thing that you can do toward that goal that you can do right now? Because it does feel overwhelming. It just, we create our own chaos because we're having this imagination, like this is such a big goal and I know I want to do it and it's pulling me. But if you feel like I can't do this or out of control, and now it's like, okay, just bring it down to the baby step of it.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, that was Monday. That's part of your work where you help people, and now we're talking about it in a different frame again. So this message of chaos to command is so timely for people. It's like God and all the good energy is like, listen, I know you're feeling kind of overwhelmed right now, but these are the answers that you're seeking. So thank you so much for bringing the process to light, because I'm 52. So we're adults and we're still going through that, where we forget these lessons that are so important. It's like, okay, maybe we all need to go back to the romper room and relearn some things.
Well, it's an interesting concept because we almost just become very prideful. It's like the older we get, the more prideful we become.
Mhm.
And we just don't feel like we have to do things. We know better. We know how to do it, but when you strip everything down to like the facts and the stories of the matter, right? We always deal in facts and stories. Like, what is the story? We're so overwhelmed and we keep adding to that. And there's this. Oh, and don't forget that. And there's this. Oh, and I need to do this. And I
Mhm.
need to do this. And that's not going to be able to happen because I have to do that first. And then this and this and this. And we're just creating this like mess. And then they're like, "Ah, it's just so much. I just feel so overwhelmed. I just can't do this." Like, and then we do this. And now we're creating even more story. And it's just like this snowball effect. Well, children do that too, except for now, like, my arm is too tired. I cannot pick up. We are creating stories. We're doing the same things. It's just the way that we're doing it is we're just doing it in a very prideful model.
Mm. I got to tell you, I'm listening to both of you, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I sometimes create the chaos in order to command, and it's very interesting because I too work with kids, and we're actually having a Nerf war coming up February 16th, and we had one not too long ago. And a lot of times I'll make the kids crazy. We'll do all these battles and all these things, and we're throwing things everywhere. All of a sudden I go, boom, stop. And they freeze because I get really loud. I can be so loud. People are like, wow, I know you can be so loud. I'm like, give me a chance, I will show you. And then what winds up happening is I tell the kids, okay, now we got to pick it all up. We got to pick up the mess we made. But meanwhile, they were having a blast. And I said, the sooner we pick it up, the more we can do it again. And they're running and picking things up, and the place is clean. There's nothing on the floor. And I go, who's ready? Me. They're all excited. And I go, okay, let's go do something else, and then we'll come back. So I commanded them to do something they wouldn't have wanted to do if I said it's over. We're not doing it again. But I said, we're going to do something else, and then we'll come back and do it again. And then the something else was a different fun thing. So I didn't take them away from a situation where they were having a blast, literally a Nerf gun blast, right? And taking them somewhere else and saying, now you're going to be bored for the rest of the time. No, we can do something else fun. And then in the middle of that fun, who wants to go back to Nerf battle? They're like, me. So it's all about creating that chaos, but then commanding the room at the same time. Because sometimes we need to stop the chaos because safety is important. Because someone may not be acting correctly. Just the same way we can take an adult from a bad situation and then put them in a better situation. It's the same thing as taking a kid who's misbehaving. If you keep them in the same environment, they're going to stay in that mental state of, this is what I'm doing here. But if we remove them from the area, all of a sudden they have to think differently. So that's why when I have the kids go into chaos and we're all over the place and running and doing all these crazy things, and then I say, okay, we're removing you from here, we're going somewhere else. Now they can calm down. They can do things differently. But we forget that we're adults, but we're really kids.
We are.
We are.
And
I'm the
when
big
both of
one, by the
you
way. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
when both of you were speaking, there were some things that were coming to mind because you know how I love to nerd out on brain science. And so when Bethany was speaking, I was like, oh yeah, we don't know these things, right? It's like our brain is just offering us things. And so our brain is our internal AI. It's working for us 24/7. It's causing 95% of our actions to automatically happen. And so when we start this story, like you were talking about, right? It's like we're living out of these stories, and the story is like, I'm so overwhelmed. And your brain is like, I call mine Ronnie. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. Here are all the reasons, yes, you're overwhelmed. Oh, don't forget you have this and you have this and you have this and you have this. Your brain is just trying to help you. So nothing has gone wrong because that's how you're beautifully, wonderfully made. But it's like you were saying, right? Bethany's like, you have these internal stories and we don't know. We're not trained. We don't have that insight. Like, oh, we're actually running our life out of that internal story. And if we start with this emotional command of I am overwhelmed. So what does your brain spit out? Yes, you are. Here are all the reasons. let me make you right. And when Sifu was speaking, it was reminding me of something I always say is that the room rewires you. So if you're in a place where you feel chaotic and it's just really empowering you to stay in that state, being removed and going somewhere else where it's calmer, where it's different, it does rewire you. It physically rewires you. You have your mental real estate, you have your the quantum energy in your brain, your cells are having new information. So all those things are interplay. And I wish I would have known that when I was younger. But these are things that we don't know. We don't know how we're beautifully, wonderfully made. We don't know how we're wired to succeed. And then we end up creating these other narratives of I'm lazy or I'm procrastinating or I'm overwhelmed or I just can't do this. But it's just a story, right? And facts are, people say that the truth is relative. No, it's not. The truth is always the truth. Otherwise, it's not the truth. But facts are relative, which is why when we go to court, we need 2 or 3 witnesses, right? To say, because let's get all the facts together from different angles. But when you're looking at the facts and you're making them your truth, we're like, oh, now we can have a new truth. I can remove myself. I can say something different. I can start a new story. I can move into a different environment and just sit there and allow the calmer environment to take its hold. Those are the things that I was popping in my head as you both were speaking on the subject.
I love the talk about environment because I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the Montessori philosophy, theory and philosophy, but one of the most important keys of it all is environment. Your environment will make or break everything. And there have been so many times where the key factors that, I've been trained to do is observe. So you observe first. So you observe the environment, okay? And you have the goal that you want to achieve. Is the environment conducive of you achieving that goal? There's so many times when we don't even think about that for ourselves. For example, for a while I was having like all of the kids in my house, they have to turn in their phones at night, right? They can't have their phones in their room. They have to turn in their phones at night. But sometimes I'm out late. Sometimes they're out late. Sometimes like, how am I going to set up the environment? Here's the expectation. Is the environment going to be set up so this can happen? So I needed to create an environment that they knew that this expectation could be met and everything would happen the way it's supposed to, because you also have to let them have that autonomy and choice. So I have an entire thing in my room, a shelf designated for cell phone turn-in, and created it. This is what the expectation is for me and for them. I don't have anything like if I can't just expect them to hand me the phone. What if things happen? Life happens. I need to make sure I created the environment so that this would always happen. And we need to do that in every aspect of our lives. Sometimes we have a hard time getting up and going to the gym, right? Well, are you setting up your environment so that that is going to happen? Are you setting up your environment so that you eat the good foods? Because if you buy them at the store and you bring them home, did you set up your environment for them to be successful in this? It's like our environment plays the most key point in everything. So with chaos and everything else, if we want to really, really have control, we need to ask ourselves, is our environment giving us that?
That's so good. I was trying to find it, but I can't find it now. But I was seeing something. What was I watching? Something like Bones or something like that. And they were talking, and she was saying, oh, and it's high potential. And she was looking at the environment, and she's like, oh, this person's a butterfly. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, there's like different kind of organization skills. And now I'm going to have to go back and find it because I wrote it somewhere. And I was like, that's so interesting. And she said, okay, these are like 4 different insects. And the butterfly person, their environment is like, they like everything out. Everything's important, but they need to see where everything's at. And I was like, I'm a butterfly. She's explaining the other 3 ones. She's like, this person's this, like, this person's like this. You're going to find the different environments and what's really conducive for them to be able to thrive and to work. And so if you walk into my environment in my office space, you might be like, oh, that's chaotic. But I was like, oh, I felt like so seen. Like that's exactly how my brain works. Like I have everything out where I can see it is my organized chaos. But when I try to be something that I'm not, having everything, very pristine and in a different kind of organization that doesn't go with my own flow, I found that I was not as productive. I was not as happy in that environment. I almost felt like very anxious because I'm like, where is it? I was always like, where is it? Where's that thing again? But now that I was just like, okay, I'm just going to put things where I need to see them and it's out in the open and it's my own private space. But then when she called it a butterfly, I'm like, oh, I felt like so freeing in the language. And so that was what's coming to mind when you were speaking about environments, because also when we're creating environments, we need to be mindful and, like you said, right, observe. How is it that, if I'm creating a co-working space in an environment, even with children, what do they need? Because sometimes I'm a butterfly. I like things all out in the open, but somebody else might have a different kind of system that they need in order for their brain to quiet down, their bodies to quiet down. So I would love for the 2 of you to share your expertise in how to create these environments when you have very different personality gift clusters and organization gift clusters that will allow people to thrive.
I'd love to jump in and have you imagine the beach. There's 2 places, and if you think of it, right, you can have the beach with nobody in sight. The waves are still hitting. The sand is still feels great on your feet. And then you can have another beach with thousands of people close to each other, their towels, their umbrellas, and all that. And the question is, each person has their own idea of the perfect beach day. The one that's going to be where there's nobody else around, they have room, there's no one playing loud music or running and kicking sand in your face. And then the other one where they're going to feel so happy that all these people are around because they're going to look at this one, look over there, they're going to look at this, the music is blaring, all this is, so it's that chaotic environment that makes them feel, oh, I'm at the beach. And then the other person who would say, oh my God, I cannot be here. Get me to a secluded beach because that's where I vibe. So we all can create our own idea of a perfect environment. But like you talked about the butterfly and then you have everything out, it doesn't mean it's wrong for you, but it may be wrong for someone else. So how do we create the environment for everyone? So you have to start thinking of, who am I creating the environment for? Think about a bank, right? If you go to, and I belong to TD Bank, and TD Bank started in Canada and then the US now. And it used to be a different name. And when I first went into the bank, I was like, this doesn't look like a bank. They have nothing on the tables, everything, including the printers. So if you want something printed, they have to open a drawer and the printer's in there and they print something for you. They close it. There's no cell phones, no pens, nothing. Everything is strategically placed. And when you think about that, you go, I feel comfortable here. I feel like there's no clutter. There's nothing that is going to be lost. Everything has its place. And when you're thinking about your money, you want people that feel that way. And then I've gone to other banks, and I have to go into other banks because I do business in different places. And I walk into a bank, I'm like, look how they are. They don't take care. Look at that. They have something. They have that food on the table over there. They have this, they have that. And so I'm comparing the two environments. And which one do I trust more? That's the question. Which one would you trust more?
So I can speak to preparing the environment for 30 plus people that are all different.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, let's take an early childhood classroom. I'm just gonna reharness in my inner teacher, and I will tell you what this looks like because I've done this for 23 years. But when you are preparing the environment, and in a Montessori classroom, all the shelves are open. So you can see everything, and everything is isolated on a tray, or it's prepared in a way that you take off the entire material and you learn from that, but you can see everything, and everything is categorized. So you'll have like practical life. I'm a life skills coach, by the way. Weird. So you have like practical life, and then you have sensorial, and then you'll have language, then you'll have geography, then you'll have cultural, and then you'll have math, and you have all these areas set like the entire thing in one area. And then you'll have the children. And they come in, and the first 6 weeks is called the normalization period. Because guess what? It takes 6 weeks to get ready for a new environment, to understand that environment and to thrive in that environment. And it's bringing chaos into a structure, and a structure of reaching goals. So the goals here are going to be, a lot of the time, behavior modification. They're also going to be, just peace, education, grace, and courtesy. All these things are really important for everyone to know. But learning these things and setting them up, you're going to have that one kid that's going to take every single thing off the shelf and dump it all over the place. And they're going to be mixing the materials. And you're going to lose a bunch of stuff, and things are going to be broken, and it's going to be chaos. And every single time you are going to help them put it back together and put it back. Every time, no matter how much chaos happens, pick it up and put it back. Oh, dump again. All right, let's pick it up and let's put it back. And the cool thing that happens is that pretty soon you start watching and observing, and the chaos stops and everything is done, because it's the repetition of the environment that you're trying to create, and even falling off the horse, and even like creating the chaos, whatever it is, the repetition of it and continually doing it no matter what is what is going to stick. Because if you have a goal in mind and you continue going and you fall off that horse and all your pieces get all scattered everywhere, just pick them up, put it back, keep doing it, because pretty soon, maybe it'll take 6 weeks. I don't know. But guess what? It's going to happen. And that's kind of what we forget. Like, it's not going to look the same. Systems are going to look different. You're going to have the kid that does it perfectly, but then you're going to have the ones that are a mess. It's not supposed to look the same.
Not at all. Can I tell you, there was an accountant that should have been in your classroom, by the way, because he never learned the lesson, because I needed an accountant. And I was recommended to this gentleman, and I went to his office. And can I tell you, I've never seen so much paper on the desks, on top of desks, in the cabinets. It was a mess. And he tells me how much he charges, which is okay. But I thought, no. If you're going to throw my paperwork underneath the desk and then you have to go looking for my piece of paper that's important and it gets misplaced, you're not the person I need in my life. So just thank God I was able to see his environment that he thrived in. And then I said, wait a minute, I remember one of my clients' dad is an accountant, and he actually did some work for me without me even asking him to do it. And he said, don't worry about it. I'm not charging you. I was like, let me call that guy. Because I already knew how he handled his son. I already knew the kind of person he was. He was a giving individual. He's still my accountant today, 20 years later. And anytime I need anything, he goes, here it is. He's very systematic. So when it comes to certain things, yeah, if you have a kid that's very chaotic and throws everything all over and has to put it back together, if they never learn the lesson, they will live their life like that, and they will keep missing the pieces that matter. And there's nothing wrong with people who may want to get into a little bit of chaotic tables or putting things together, but when it's your own, that's cool. But when it's somebody else's, we have to consider it. So that's why I didn't go with that. Thank God. I don't even know what would have happened to me had I gone with that other accountant. So yeah, choose where the chaos is important, and then can you command it, right? Did I trust that accountant to command his chaos? No, I did not.
I think one of the things that really stuck out for me, Bethany, when you were speaking too, is like let me just sit in this for 6 weeks. The time is going to pass anyway. And 6 weeks
6 months,
is not even a whole
years,
season.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like 6 weeks is like half a season. So it's like, oh, I can do this for, giving ourselves new language, a new story. I can do this for half a season. Half a season sounds, less intimidating, maybe, depending on how your internal language and syntax is. It can feel less intimidating than like, oh, a whole 6 weeks. Oh, this is only half a season. I can do this every single day. No, and then telling ourselves that other part of the story, like, hearing this, that's proof. You're an expert in this. You've been living this for over 20 years. You've worked in this. So hearing that piece of like, oh no, if this works for children, this will work for me too. There's already proof that this system works. And if I would just sit in it for give myself the gift of 6 weeks. Yes, I might have to keep on picking things up over and over again, but that's okay, because that's part of the process. And when we understand that there's nothing wrong with us, it's just part of the process of rewiring ourselves, rewiring that internal story, rewiring our environment, then it becomes like, oh, not so overwhelming. So thank you for sharing that. Because even for me, sometimes when we're moving into new spaces and we're being called into, right, the expansion, and we're like, we might feel weird being in those rooms, but we have to be in the room and we have to give ourselves a chance to just sit in it. And if when we know, you know what, in less than 2 months, I'm going to feel differently. In less than 2 months, I'm going to see another side of myself, the expanded, the upgraded version. I just need to do these couple little things consistently, and our brain loves repetition. That's how it rewires itself. It prefers that over like a high emotional event or trauma. It loves repetition. So I love what you were sharing, that because it really does give us adults hope. Like, oh, that's all I have to do. Yes. All you have to
There's
do, give
another.
yourself,
Oh, go. I was
yeah,
gonna say
just give yourself
there's a cool thing about this, that when you are doing this, you have times blocked throughout the day, which is called restoring the environment. And this is the part that I think that we forget. Like, we actually don't set that time apart to restore our environment, because it's gonna, yeah, it might take 6 weeks until this is just like, can do this. I am on top of it. But taking that time and that mental capacity and that awareness to be like, I need to restore the environment. Oh, before I stand up and grab something to eat, I have to restore the environment. Oh, before I go do this, I always make sure I restore my environment before I move on. And restoring the environment isn't just, and this is something I feel like is being lost in translation through generational, I don't know, non-education of it. I don't know. But we are forgetting that when we respect our environments, we feel better. Like, there's no respect for environments, like closing a door. I have a lesson on how to open and close a door, because that is an important thing. It's an important thing to turn the handle and you open it up. And guess what? When you are through that door, you grab the door, you turn the handle, and you close it. And practice doing that without sound, and practice doing it slowly and intentionally. Every single thing that we do, when we do it with intent, shows respect for our environment, shows respect for us, and makes it that much more important, because that's grace and courtesy. That's peace. That resonates from within. It's beautiful, and it shows.
I want to become a little controversial here, just for the fun of it, because the more we talk, the more I'm thinking the nutty professor. The nutty professor does not look like the other professor, who looks all combed, all debonair, and the glasses are fitting right. The other one's like the glasses are shut. He's got, his shirt is sticking out, and he rambles on, and he does things. And if you walk into his office, there's chaos everywhere. There's papers, there's this and that. But usually it's the nutty professor who outthinks the polished one. So what I want to say to everybody listening to us is that we're not telling you that if you have a mess in your office or anything like that, that you're less than. We want to say that you have to take control, or should I say command, if you live that way. Because I know a lot of people personally who, if you came and you tidied up their desk, they would lose it, totally lose it. And they're like, now I can't find anything. And then the other person turns around and says, but I put it all in this neat pile for you, and I categorize it. I put it in order. I alphabetize. I can't even say the word because it doesn't want to come out, right? But I put it in a way that you can find it. See, here it is. I labeled everything. And they're like, yeah, I can't work that way. And then they lost their mind. And then they'll go, okay, I'll try it. And then 2 days later, it's back to it the way they were because in that environment, you can tell them, where's this document? And here it is. And like, how on earth did you know? Because they have their own crazy filing system. And so I don't want to say that we're knocking you if that's how you can function, but how do you feel in that chaotic environment, right? So for me, I have different spaces that I do occupy, different offices that I go to. And I even have a wood shop, and I have thousands of tools, tons of different screws, tons of different drills, hammers. I have more hammers than I have hands to use, right? But and I have different rulers and measuring things and this and different saws and that's in my wood shop, and it's all over the place, right? Not in a chaotic way. It's everything has a function, it has a place, and there's a reason why everything has a place, because speed is important when I'm doing work, right? Or when anybody's working for me, so that it becomes efficient, because this saw goes here and that one goes there. And the reason is because when you cut here, you go to that one and use this equipment and that. And so it may seem chaotic to somebody who doesn't understand why is this there, what, but there's a process that has to go through, or they have to learn the process. Just the same way that I know I don't want to give them credit, but the process of putting things together was truly created by McDonald's, because they were efficient in getting the food out rapidly. And when McDonald's first started, I'm sure their burgers were good. I wouldn't know. I haven't had McDonald's since I was a little kid, right? But the process that they go through and the procedure, everybody has followed it. Manufacturing has followed it, because when this happens, that happens, that happens. And there's a lot of companies out there who look for, how can we create a process that's faster, more functional, and deliver the best results for our clients. And so a lot of times there's a company that I know is called Fast Cap, and they're in the woodworking industry, and they have a big sign, no idea is too small. And what that means is that if you have an idea of how we can make this faster and better, let's do it. Let's give it a shot. And they have increased their productivity and their production and their sales tenfold because of that process, allowing everybody in their company to have a say. So chaos is good if you know how to work in it. Just thought I'd share that.
No, that was really good. It was reminding me of an experience I had when I was doing my launch last year for the book anthology. Somebody came in and she was doing, you know how they have those beautiful balloons, it makes everything like gorgeous. So she was with her daughter, and she's looking for a pole, and she's like, where is this one, connector? And she's very organized. Everything has its place, and every bag has certain kinds of materials. And then she's like, I know I packed it, So the daughter finds it, and it was in the wrong bag. And she's just like, oh, that's in the wrong bag. So they had to stop the momentum, right? It does break momentum. But I love that when I was watching them, because the mom was just giving her daughter grace. She's learning how to do it. She's learning how to be the assistant. And she's just like, oh, I just put it away and it fit in this bag. So that's why I put it in there. She's like, and then she had to explain to her the process. It looks like a different kind. It looks like the same kind of mechanism, but it's not. And so this mechanism belongs in this bag. So that way, as we're building, we just know which bags to go to. And that's how you can, come up with something really beautiful in a shorter amount of time, because again, it's speed, but there is an art form to it. So it's understanding why even putting something that looks similar, but it's not in the right bag, allows them to actually flow more creatively because everything's where it needs to be. So as if you have a different style of organizing, somebody comes into your environment, like I'm more of a butterfly, my daughter's more of and she's in my executive assistant and director of my operations, and so she's very like tidy, she has like all things, so I need that kind of execution. I know to give it to her, but she also knows don't move anything on my desk unless you ask me. Do you want? And then unless I ask for her help, and then I'm very specific because I know how her gift functions. And so then I can leverage her gift, and then we respect each other's different giftings. But, I know like, oh, if I need it like this, very systemized, everything like this, I'm going to hand it over to her because she's gifted in that. That's how her brain works. She feels calmer in those kind of spaces. And so being able to say, okay, what is her gift and how can I incorporate it to leverage what I'm doing so I can move with speed too. So when I need something in that area, I'm just like, oh, I just give that over to Angie. So that was what was coming to mind. It's like, we don't understand even something like that seems so insignificant. Oh, the pole was in the wrong bag. All the bags look the same. So how do you even know where to put it? But the person who's doing this says, no, I know they're actually different when you look at them. So we don't really realize how important like the little tiny details are. And it goes back to what Bethany was saying earlier about observing first the environment. And it's just, you're a scientist. It's not judgment. It's just observing you can take some data in.
Without a doubt.
Well, I was married to, I married the Nutty Professor. So I understand this on a deep level. And it's actually been really kind of awesome, actually, because everybody's system works so differently. He is the most intelligent person I know. And he's so cool. But he cannot organize. He cannot create the calm, but he wants it. But he thinks it's such a high capacity that it's very hard to create it. But yeah, I want it. So I feel like that's where it's so beneficial because I can step in and be like, okay, I know that you want to put your laundry in the laundry basket every day. I know that you do. And I know that you don't want to shed your clothes right by the bed every day. I know that you know that this isn't cool with me. And it was literally like putting the laundry basket against his bed and slowly just moving it away. And all of a sudden, it was always in the laundry basket. It's wonderful. But also, the way that he thinks is so different than me. I need to put all of his workout clothes in just one basket and not fold them. He works better in the morning if he just has to go like this. That's his process. That's fine. But it all looks different. And it's just organizing it and having your system be the way that you're going to be successful. And it always looks different, but that system is going to bring you peace.
I really love that you shared that with us because so many people get into a relationship with another person. And it's love, everything's happy, and until it's not. And it's not because now you're seeing maybe their chaos or they're seeing your chaos and they do not accept it. So what do they want to do? They want to change you. And you have to remind them, remember you fell in love for who I was, not for who you want me to be. Remember that. So a lot of times we fight that struggle of let me change them so they fit into my world instead of let us merge our worlds so we can communicate at a higher level together. And you just putting the basket closer to his bedside, that was just you communicating with, I'm going to let you do what you do, but here's a little nudge, if you will, right? And that was because if you would have kept fighting him on it, as you know, it would not have been good for either one of you because you both would have been frustrated with one another. And you kind of trained him, but he allowed it because he realized that it made sense. But had you come from a different angle, I think it would not have made sense for him, and it would have been a fight, if you will, right? And I see a lot of people are not accepting other people for their chaos, for their way of doing things. And if you're working in a team, you do have to work together to create the outcome, right? And the process should be where everybody's is doing their due diligence so that the outcome is great. But if somebody comes along who you never expected and they change things, it could be bad or it could be better. The question is, do you give them the time or the space to allow change to happen? Right. And we talked about change earlier, one of our other episodes, but we have to consider that when somebody says, if it ain't broke, don't change it, that's because they're not seeing a better way of doing things. And if it wasn't broke, don't change it, we would all still be in horse buggies. There'd be no cars. Look, there would be no EVs now, right? And it's because we allowed, there'd be no rockets, no airplanes. We would still be like, I will see you in 3 days when I gotta feed my horse, I gotta water it, I gotta do all these things. So I think that we have to look at the way we live in the world today, because it's ever changing and chaos will always appear. And it's how we handle that chaos. Because what chaos is happening today, tomorrow's chaos may be totally different based on what tomorrow brings.
Yeah, so good. It was reminding me when I worked in corporate that I saw personality gift clusters like that, and I call them guardians. And so a guardian is somebody who doesn't want anything to change. They're just like, right, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Why are you bringing in a new system? Why, you know? But what you recognize with them is that most of the time, people who are guardians, right, they don't want the things to change. They're also very good at resources. They're also very good at making the most out of what you have in your hand. So even in a team environment, if you have somebody like that, I found, hi Eddie, I found that if you give them 3 weeks to hem and haw about it, just let them get it out of their system. Go ahead and complain. This is the way we're going. But if you give them at least 3 weeks to kind of get used to what's coming, the change is coming. By the time the change comes, now they're the guardian of the new thing. So again, it's like what Bethany keeps on talking about the observing, and you're observing the people, like, okay, how do they work? And if is it that they don't want to fix it, they don't want to change it because they're a guardian, and there'll be clues to that where they're really, really good at making sure that the resources are spent well, in which case then you know what assignments to give them because they're so good at that. Or is it that, there's some other reason for that? But I found that a lot of people I worked with, when they were like, I don't want to change it. Why are we doing these new things? I was like, let me just give you 3 weeks. And here are all your ideas, all your complaints about it. And then sometimes their complaints, I was like, oh, I see what you mean here, And then if I can, institute it into the change or keep it, then I would. But most of the time, they just need a space to just about it. But again, they were very, very good at the resources. And we need that too, because we need people who have those kind of giftings. So we're not wasting, going after the shiny object or wasting resources, time, energy, money on things that, really we didn't have to change at this point in the funnel, whatever it is that we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's go back from chaos to command. Think about a tornado. A tornado comes in, destroys everything in its path. But what's after the tornado leaves? What are two things that are very apparent after it?
I've
There's
never actually
chaos,
seen a tornado.
destruction everywhere. But also, what else that we see? The sun. It's a beautiful day. It's gorgeous. And what happens after that? Chaos, all the destruction, rebuilding. And what is the main thought of everyone who needs to rebuild? There may be some loss of life. There may be financial losses. But what is everybody's thought? We need to build better. So with chaos, there's a rebuilding when we actually learn to command it. A lot of people in neighborhoods that had tornadoes, now they're building the houses differently. So it made people think outside the box. How do we prevent the roofs from flying off? How do we prevent this and that and this and that happening? Now it makes us better at evaluating what happened. So does chaos teach us? Sometimes it's hurtful, but it is a teacher. Did you ever see it that way?
I've seen it that way a lot. I think chaos is a complete teacher. I think chaos is a great teacher because out of chaos comes order.
Mm.
You must have the chaos before you have the order. I don't know if anyone has ever organized their closet before, but there is a process and it is not pretty.
Mm.
It usually consists of it being okay. It's not bad, but I really feel the need to, go through things. And in that process, you create complete chaos. You have piles everywhere. There is like stacks and you're like, I don't even need that. Here's donation party. And you create the chaos so that you can have the order.
Before we go on, let me share this video with you. Take a look.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Sifu, Rafael, Lancelot, Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience mastermind, where purpose is found.
Woo! Can't help but move. And I know Bethany has seen that video 3 times today.
I've danced every time.
Yes. So you talked about creating a space, and I did that in New York City. Raquel, you were there. How was that vibe there when we did the New York City experience? Because I did create the room for different speakers, and did it look chaotic, or did it look, even though there was things everywhere, did it look well put together?
Oh, I didn't find that it was chaotic at all. But again, I'm a butterfly, so what do I know? Um, it felt very inviting. You created a really great space where everybody felt loved and seen, and the way everything was structured, it was just really smooth. So it felt like whether we were there or like hanging out afterwards, the time just flew by, and that's how you know you're having a really good time and you're connecting. Because all of a sudden you look up and you're like, what do you mean they stopped talking? It's somebody else. Oh, what do you mean that it's already lunch? Nobody was like fidgeting, like, when are they going to feed us? Everybody was really intentionally and caught up with the speakers because everybody was so different in what they were bringing to the table. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I'm planning to come back to Tampa as well, and then like have an extended stay because I have family out there in Florida. But I loved it. It was what I needed. Sometimes we need to get out of our environments, right? And go into those other rooms. And in that kind of compacted time, we rewire faster because everyone's there. It was almost like a true mastermind. We're all coming in for the same thing, wanting to connect, wanting to learn, wanting to absorb, and have some fun. So you really created that environment where we were able to do all the things, have some fun, have some really powerful time, to have that deep connections, and to also do business. So it was a little bit of everything. And I really enjoyed myself, which is why I'm like, oh, you need to come. So if you've been watching it, like, I don't know if I should go. Yes, come, because the room will rewire you. I came in one way and I truly left differently after those couple days with everybody.
I appreciate you saying that. And that's why we created such a space. And that's why we continue to do it, because my goal with creating the New York City experience is to get away from all the other rooms I've been in, which, not that they're not great, but I didn't feel rewired, like you said. I didn't feel energized. It was like, oh, great day, and then that's it, I'm done. There was no business, there was no mastermind, there was no connecting. And I think that when we get into a space and we can actually connect with another human being, that's golden. But we don't want you to come to New York City experience and connect with one person. We want you to connect with as many people as possible. And you walked away getting to know so many people and connecting at such a deep level. You and I connected even more. And I know we're going to even connect more in Tampa. So it's going to be fun.
And that's important, right? Because we're moving into a period of time where the small rooms are the big things, and people are desiring to really have real connections. And you hear about it, that there is a trust recession happening. And so these kind of spaces help you to be around people who are just like you, who are heart-centered, but they're also visionaries. They also are moving it. They also want to, help each other, really want to refer one each other, really want to build each other up personally and professionally. So this is why I really love that experience. And, I walked away, yes, doing business with some people, and I have like plans, and I'm doing business with some of the people there throughout the year. So it was, yeah, for business, it was great, but the connections were amazing because this is great too. Thank God for Zoom and coffee chats and messenger things and LinkedIn and things that we can do that. But there's something when you get to see somebody live. And like one of the people I've always wanted to meet was Alethea, and she was there, and we were like, "You're real." So it was just really nice to meet her in person, even though I had worked with her a lot online, and we chat and things like that, and we've connected deeply in that form. But when we saw each other live, it was just different. It was just different, And Shiraz, the same thing. I bought his books. I'm always talking about him, how brilliant he is. But it was different when we saw each other live. I was able to connect and really have some like significant conversations. So I'm really grateful that you did it. You did create the room where we can do all the things as entrepreneurs and deeply connect, which is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And one day when Bethany is not so crazy busy with all her stuff, she's going to be in the room with us, and we're going to have a special session where she's going to teach us some special dancing. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, apparently I'm going to teach everyone how to dance. I haven't picked the genre yet, but that's going to be out there. I'm thinking samba and using the theme song.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Before we wrap things up, I'd love to give you both a chance, 45 seconds. Share with us why somebody needs to connect with you. I'd love to have everybody consider the fact that the reason we need to connect with these two young, beautiful ladies is because they're going to help us and impact our lives in so many different areas that we need. So, Bethany, you're up, my dear.
Well, I think you should connect with me because I can teach you the life skills that you're missing. I can teach you how to really care for yourself in emotionally, spiritually, physically, socially, and intellectually. Because when you're okay as a person, you are okay for your relationships and your business and everything else that really needs to fulfill you.
Love it. Definitely connect with Bethany. And Raquel, my dear, you are up.
Well, my specialty is being a visibility rewiring person, and also visibility amplifier and identity rewirer. So I love doing that. I do that in different formats. I just launched a radio station just because why not? But my favorite thing that I'm obsessed with is making people immortal in 5 days or less. I take your mission, your legacy, how you love to show up and serve your people, and make you immortal by doing it through music, because it's the only thing that's going to outlive us. It's a great way to also shrink incredibly the know, like, and trust factor. So if you want to amplify what you're already doing, or you need some identity rewiring, I'm your girl.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, connect with Raquel. I am Sifu Rafael. What can I say? I'm easy to find, sifurafael.com. And for me, it's how can I help, right? That's my mission in life. I help you from getting on a stage. I have 10 different podcasts. This is one of them. Bethany has been on 3 of them today. And if you need to get on stages, if you need to understand how to deliver your keynotes, I can help you with that too. I have a communication school. So connect with me. How can I be of service to you? Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Ladies, I am blessed that you said yes to being here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody, do yourself a favor. Share this show with somebody who needed to hear today's message. Thank you. God bless. Ladies.
Thank you.